our next movie we're going to go on to is Scott Cooper's Crazy Heart with Jeff. All right, so this is a movie about an alcoholic country music star who decides he's okay with being the second notch. He's kind of accepted himself as a has-been, and his protege, played by Colin Farrell, is moved on and up in the world and is the big famous thing, and he's the one playing in bowling alleys. And he's just, he's kind of a sketchy character. He's a really nice guy. He just drinks too much. He
very self-destructive.
Very self-destructive, but he stumbles upon Maggie Gyllenhaal, who becomes a love interest, and she has the son that he never got to know, and so he bonds with that, and then he messes up and they fight, and it just goes on and on like that. So this movie just kind of came off as the director just watched The Wrestler and went, I can do that, but I'm going to make it a little happier. And it was awful. Terrible movie. First of all, I hate country music, so that,
okay.
Once again, like Peter Jackson, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to like this movie. But it just, the guy is, he's an alcoholic, but that's all that's wrong with him. I mean, he's a really nice guy. He's nice to everybody. He's good to the children and the wife. He just drinks. I mean, it's his only problem. So, I mean, it just seems like in an age when it takes a lot more than just being a drunk to make, he doesn't beat the woman. He doesn't, have any problems with the kid. He's just too likable as a degenerate character,
Mm-hmm.
He's not he's not the protagonist that you can't like for a while. And
he's not Mickey Rourke from The Wrestler.
Yeah, he isn't.
Yeah.
He isn't, I had a lot of trouble feeling bad for him and empathizing with him. So it just became this really long, boring movie about a guy, and it's a country music song. The thing is a parable? I don't know, some great P word that I would have rocked in a second, but it is a country music song. It just is this long, drawn-out, sad story about
lost
a drunk
by
man.
this, lost by that.
Yeah. And
what grade would you give that?
Definitely gave this one a C-, maybe a D+.
Yeah.
It was,
I gave it a B. I think Jeff Bridges carries the movie really well. Yeah. I think he's a really good actor, and he really did well in this role. I enjoy Jeff Bridges almost always.
I do too.
Depending, even regardless of what movie he's in, he's usually something to watch. Yeah. And I think that you're right. It kind of ends there. It's a really good performance, and I think he probably deserved the Oscar that he won. But the story is just ultra simple. Yeah. There's just not much to it. The conflict feels really forced.
Yeah.
It's like it kind of had a comfortable movie going. It's like, we have to have a conflict towards the end of the middle act. I guess we'll just have this little thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like, as far as the conflict goes, it really wasn't enough to warrant the change in the character.
Yeah.
Like he finds himself or whatever and gets better, but I don't feel like what happens in the movie really was that extreme.
Yeah.
It seems like kind of small in comparison of however many years of being an alcoholic that he was supposed to be. I thought Maggie Gyllenhaal was a little awkward in the movie.
Yeah.
She was a lot younger than him, and it was kind of hard to buy that relationship.
And there's a lot of awkward pauses in it too.
Yeah.
A lot of silence of her just thinking, and you're just like, say something, do something. Don't just stare at him.
But I thought that it was a fine enough film. Yeah. If you're going into it just to see Jeff Bridges perform, I think you'll get exactly what you look for. I don't hate country music in the same way that you do, I think, but I can kind of separate what a movie's about versus the music, whatever. Like, I'm not a huge fan of professional wrestling, but I love The Wrestler. That was one of my favorite movies of that year. And I think of the two, small little kind of character movies, I think The Wrestler is the better of the two. It's a little grittier and darker, and I think you get that touch of realness a little bit more in The Wrestler. But while the movie was basically a feature-length short film, I enjoyed it mildly.
Cool. So
I imagine that people older than us, like 35 plus,
probably love it.
are going to love it.
Oh, yeah.
I know my father was just all about this movie, and he actually called me just to talk about the movie because it affected him on such a personal level. Nice. And I get that, and I think it's good that that there's a movie like that that they're still making movies for older generations. And I think as far as that goes, it's a decent one. But yeah, I thought it was slightly mediocre.
All right.